Well, hi guys, it's that time. It's our Bible teaching snippet of the day. I'm not sure if I should title it a Bible teaching snippet or not. Look, we'll just see how it goes. How about that? I'm home. I've been in Israel. I left on the 5th of the month and flew into Houston, Texas, and left the following day, March the 6th, which, by the way, was my wedding anniversary. It just worked out that way, so I didn't get to spend my anniversary with my husband. But anyway, so we went to Israel, and unfortunately, because of the corona scare that's going on, our Holy Land trip was totally turned upside down. Almost every day we had to do something different than what was on the schedule, except for the very first day that we were there. This will be my third trip that I've made to the Holy Land. And one thing that I did get to see that has not been available for people to go and visit is the ruins of the city of Magdala, and this is where Mary Magdalene was from, and they did not find this lost city underneath the dirt until it was discovered in 2009, and that was very nice to be able to go to a new place that I had not been to, but I really enjoyed visiting the ruins there. People asked me what my favorite site was while I was there this time. Many of the places that I've been before, we did not get to go, Bethlehem being one of those. Bethlehem just decided to shut their city down and not have tourists coming in and out, so we were not able to go there. We did get to do the famous boat ride on the Lake of Galilee with Daniel Carmel. He sings in Hebrew and in English, and he does a lot of our better known Christian songs that we have here in the U.S. He's a very good singer. That's always a special treat when you get to listen to him sing out on the Lake of Galilee. So yes, and we did get to go to many of the places that I've already been. We went to a lot of the different places. We went to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, and that is where Jesus was not only crucified, but where's his tomb. The church, it's really huge, and it's built over both sites. And Gary Crossland, he's the one that we went with, and he was basically our American tour guide. And of course, we had one of the very few Christian tour guides that lives in the Holy Land, Habib, and so we had two different people teaching us things as we went along. But Gary Crossland was telling me that he's a licensed archaeologist, so one time when he was at the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, he was actually able to go in behind what everybody else sees, and he was talking about how in the backside of that huge church, that mount that Jesus was crucified on is still there. He said it's like, 30 foot high from ground level where he was looking up at it, which I thought was very neat. I would love to go back in there sometimes. And also, since he has relationships with some of the people there, most of the time they are the Greek-speaking Greek Orthodox Church. It seems like he has a lot of connections with those, and we were able to go into a private area that most tourists don't get to go back and see because it's back in a back room, and I posted a picture of that, and they say that is a portion of the whipping post that they had Jesus chained to when they beat him and scourged him with I believe they call it a cat of nine tails, and it's basically strips of leather that have metal and broken pottery and hooks on it, and as it would hit his body, it would sink into it and rip his skin and even some of his muscle tissue out. But we got to see that whipping post that goes way, way back to when people say that is actually the stone that they used to whip Jesus on. There's so many other things that I did not know existed in the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, which we did not get to see. but there is a stone, the stone that was against Jesus's grave, that the angel rolled back, which was very interesting. But I didn't get to see that. Would have loved to have seen that for sure. But one thing before I let you go today, I'm not going to talk awful long about this, but we went to. Some people call it Qumran, and that's what I call it. It just depends on what part of the world you're from as to how people actually say the word. It's Qurman, Qumran. And this is where the Dead Sea Scrolls were found back in 1947. And what interests me so much about the Dead Sea Scrolls now is because as I have been studying what the early church believed, and that the early Christians, before even Jesus's time, the Essenes, that's who was out at Qumran at the Dead Sea Scrolls. These are the men who wrote all of these scriptures and different writings, and they hid them in ceramic pots and hid them in the caves, and they were discovered in 1946 by a Bedouin shepherd who lost one of his sheep or something, and anyway, he throws a rock in this cave and he hits something, and it makes an odd noise, right? And he was wondering what that pottery was that he hit and broke. But anyway, that's how they say that the Dead Sea Scrolls had come to be found. But what I really like about the Dead Sea Scrolls, and I have a special interest in it now, is because through the writings of the Essenes that was put in the caves, now we do know 100% without any doubt that the Essenes, who were vegetarians, celebrated the Passover meal the day before the Jerusalem Jews celebrated the Passover meal where they slaughtered the lambs. The Essenes did not believe in slaughtering lambs, so they did not eat meat at their Passover, and their calendar, their Passover is actually celebrated one day before the Jerusalem Jews celebrate their Passover and do the slaughtering of the lambs. Now, if we go over to John and read his account, he tells us that Jesus celebrated Passover with his disciples one evening, and then the following evening was the actual Passover, or that's not the evening, but the following day. When Jesus was on the cross dying, they were in Jerusalem slaughtering the lambs. So Jesus, the Lamb of God, was being sacrificed by man. Man beat him, hung him on a cross, and killed him, just like it was men who also killed all of the lambs, and they all were dying at the same time. Jesus died on the cross at 3 p.m., and that's when they were slaughtering and killing the sacrificial lambs as their Passover slaughter. And I think it was very interesting that our tour guide actually made a point to say that Jesus did not celebrate the usual Jerusalem Jewish Passover like the Jews had done in Jerusalem, but he actually was celebrating the Passover according to the Essene calendar. The Dead Sea Scrolls have shown us some things that, and yes, it proves out that the book of Isaiah is fairly accurate to what we have, but it also has shown us a lot about the Essenes, that they were vegetarians and that they did not slaughter animals. They did not believe in killing anything, including animals. They're vegetarians, and that John the Baptist spent time there with them, and that John the Baptist was indeed a vegetarian. He ate from the locust tree, not locusts like grasshoppers, and they even have writings in the Dead Sea Scrolls, the caves, about Jesus, and that he too was a vegetarian. I found that. Now, they didn't talk about that, but I know from my studies about the Dead Sea Scrolls that this is true. So let me see, what else would I like to tell you today? I guess that's all I'm going to do today. I'm going to hop off here. It's been a great trip, and I did get me a t-shirt with the Dead Sea on this because I thought it was really cute, because when you get in the Dead Sea, the water is so heavy that it pushes you up. You literally cannot go down and sink in the Dead Sea because the water's heavier than you are, and it pushes you back up. So we did get to go there. It was raining. I did not get in the Dead Sea this time, and actually the 2 times I've been there prior, it's been very calm. not a lot of motion on the waters, very just a light wave, but nothing major. And it's really, really aqua blue colored, very beautiful water. But this time it was actually having waves hit because of the bad weather that we had gotten. It rained for 3 days while I was in Israel. Well, maybe tomorrow I'll sit down and write up some more thoughts on some of the things that I saw while I was there, and I'll talk about that a little bit more. But for as of today, it's good to be home, and yes, I am fine. I had to stand in line when we got into Chicago for them to decide if who needed to be tested and who did not need to be tested for the virus. Our group did not fall in that category because they did not feel like that Israel was a hot zone for the virus. So even though we did have to stand in the line and talk to someone, hand them a piece of paper showing them where we had been, but once we got through the line, they didn't make us go back and take any tests. They just let us go ahead and pick up our luggage. So listen, guys, I love you. I'll see you here tomorrow, okay? Bye-bye.